Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 24th, 2023 at approximately 4:24 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. Now, before I get into anything, let's start off with the obvious starting point. We have Eternity in with the gold. Amitonga is in with the silver. And we have Football Cat coming in with the bronze. So I figured, how do you choose the next step on your path to success? Well, as I mentioned, a lot of what I do here is I'll share some of what I'm going through to give you an idea of how things can progress for you. Now, the best tools in the world are only useful if you pick them up, unless you like looking at really good tools. I know my father could spend hours going through a hardware store and just looking at the tools, not buying them because he pretty much had every one available. But if you're at a point where you really desire your life to change, now is the time to do it. Okay, so I've got the newsletter up and running. As a matter of fact, I should look at that side of it. Hopefully I've got it here. We should have an extra copy printed off. Whoop. I do not, so I'm going to have to do that, but I can do that while I'm talking to you. That works out well. So, ouch, that hurt a lot. Let us see what happens if we go up here. Move that out of the way. Tell you, things do not always go the way I'd like them to. Oh, that was just plain silly. If we take that, where are we? Go back to there. Perfect. Eternity, in all fairness, we're doing fine. The biggest problem, like, Cameron is exhausted. He's over, and that's my youngest son. He's over at his mom's right now. Right. So, because grad was tiring. The last couple of weeks has been murder for pretty much everybody. But yesterday, when I was out working on an issue, quite frankly, dealing with the government. Uh-oh. I'm not entirely certain what color we're referring to. I appreciate the comment there, Football, but I honestly am not entirely certain what it's referring to. I don't require this here. And this door can close. Eventually I'll get in the habit of doing that before I get started. But hey, what the heck. Oh, thank you so much there, Football. In all fairness, I really do rely on other people's input regarding color because I'm still trying to get used to seeing any color at all. Growing up being colorblind was absolutely a nightmare. Okay. But no, the last few weeks has been absolutely brutal. And of course, yesterday when I was out, my knee gave way with no warning, dropping me onto the floor, and that always wears me out. I didn't break anything, I didn't bruise or strain anything, just dislocated the knee, and that in and of itself is all it took. Net result, I got home and passed out. But I was looking for something here, and it should be behind this button here. Okay, let's open that up. That is July. That works out well. So we go File. We go Print. We go Print. And now it'll come out and do what it should do. At least that would be the theory. Now let us see here. Is that what I'm looking for? That's who I'm looking for. That'd be me. Um, football. It was funny when it happened. It scared the woman that I was dealing with from the government. We were discussing the fact that I've got a bad leg, and that's the biggest hindrance in going back to work with other people. Everything else aside, right? So she was looking for anything that could put me back to work in a hurry. And then as soon as I went to get up and leave, the knee popped and I disappeared on her. It was really neat. She turned absolutely chalk white, which wouldn't have been quite so extravagant, except for the fact she was East Indian to start with, which does paint an interesting picture. Now, like I said, next step on your journey to success. Okay. Whoop. I can not close, minimize that so I can see what's going on there. Corazon De Oro, my apologies. I believe that's Corazon. Yeah, that was part of my problem, Football. Corazon, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, the reality of it is, I've worked in my office for a decade now. Okay. So of course that was a big hindrance. Adjusting to going back to work in somebody else's office, not a real fun concept, is it there, Football? You know, Technically I could if I could figure out how to walk right and find my way to where I was going. Right now it's great. There's only so much room I can get lost in. I've got 1,000 square feet of room, okay, of office of apartment, and I'm set up in one spot for the office. Makes it very easy to find. Okay, so now it's just organizing it. I gotta ask Corazon, just because I don't feel like doing the work to go and find out. But what language is Corazon? Oh, okay. Question still applies there. Danke, which by the way is German. But I turned around. You know, I've gone, like I said, the newsletter is now in print. Okay, and it is starting to move reasonably well. I'm hoping, my goal is to get it to grow properly. But when I was talking about it, okay, you open up 2 pages, right? And and this is all I'm leaving it at. I cannot see myself permitting it to grow any further. Okay, the ratio, I mean. You've got 1, 2, including how to contact me, 3 ads in 6 pages. Eventually, when I figure out what kind of a price range I'm looking at, okay, eventually I will end up selling advertising to people, but the number of ads will still be limited to a certain number per newsletter. Eventually, it'll get to be the size of a magazine. Okay, it'll get to be a full-size magazine. But in no event is it going to cost any money. Now, my next any money for you. Okay, my next step is to bring the book sales up at a reasonable level. Okay, so that I'm actually making a living at it. Because I don't know about you, but lining somebody else's pocket is no longer a viable option in my eyes. Whoops. Gotta go here. Football, you asked a question. You are right. I did miss it. Unless the question, no, that's eternity. Go all the way back up here. And let us see. Of course I missed the questions because it turned around and went, okay, well, this is not working well. What? Okay, football. Oh, okay. I think. Okay, football. Regarding your what football? Would you do me a favor, football, and just restate the question? Because I'll tell you, I'm not seeing it. So if you want to re-enter the question, I will be certain to keep an eye open for it here. The drawback, of course, is we are talking tech. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you regarding the BS in an office. The amount of conflict. I remember working in one place, and everybody I talked to complained nobody else was doing any work, and I finally got fed up with it. Yeah, no, I won't do well in the. I don't do well in the rubber room, and I don't do well in the vertical bar scene. But no, I remember working in a business one year, and everybody complained. I finally got fed up and looked at them. At the one person made the comment. I said, "For pity's sakes, if everybody here did as little as everybody else claimed they do, nothing would get done." Now, in my case, I do have a tendency of getting too many things on occasion on the go, which I didn't really think was possible, but apparently it is. Okay. So now what I'm doing is making certain I get it organized. Now, where are we? Oh, heavens, yeah. Too much perfume, too much talking, too much complaining, too much, frankly, disorganization. You know, which is why I've now got this. Now, that's a hard copy, and all I have to do to send out to send out hard copy is call up the file, print it off, stuff it in an envelope, and away it goes. Because I've got the ink for Lord knows how long now. But let us take a look at this. Take that. That is that one. As far as I know, everybody that's requested a copy has it in their possession. If it was going by email, if it's going by mail, it's en route. Yep. I call most of business nowadays that. Oh. Oh, for crying in a water bucket. Now, why, pray tell, would you possibly steal? I mean, personally, I'm not overly fond of cheesecake. But, the real question you start with is why accuse you personally? Oh, there you are. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, football's going. Someone accused me of stealing 2 cheesecakes from the office fridge. And realistically, if you're in an office, either be absolutely certain you label it. And this, obviously, this football. That's a problem. See, now I've always looked at an eating disorder, and I know people have it, and this is sort of tongue in cheek, but I consider an eating disorder you're sticking it in your ear instead of your mouth. But I do understand the issue of uncontrolled eating. I know people that actually do what they call sleep eating. Yeah, I don't doubt that, football. Now, Emmy is asking, do you have a brace for your knee to help support it? No. And the reason being, it will literally disconnect in any one of 360 degrees. So the only brace they could do would be a stovepipe. And that makes it really rough to walk. But actually, I'll show you what I do have. This works like a charm. Just give me half a second, and I will have it for you. Over the years, I wore out 4 of these things. So that goes with me anywhere I go outside. Now that is solid heartwood, solid red heart with, I think it's and in the top here it's also got yellow heart. Now don't ask me what the white is, but these rings here are brass. This thing has a 3/4 inch rod running through the middle of it. Okay, and the handle itself was custom built so it will actually fit in my hand properly. So that works really well. Problem when it happened at the government office is I actually stood up and reached for the cane. Just didn't work out that well. Oh, that's always a handy one there, Corazon. It's absolutely great that your family doesn't lie. I know way too many families where they have some pretty severe issues, i.e., things like being a con artist or, being an outright blatant and admitted thief, even amongst family. Okay. It's these kind of families that people end up separating from. Okay. In my case, and some people would call me a control freak because the whole 9 yards of what I'm doing really is starting to make things happen. Carlito, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, well, I do absolutely hope you never find the weight again. What I always found when I had the mindset I was looking to lose weight, I ended up with a small problem. I'd look to lose weight and I'd lose it and then I'd get it back. But the problem with weight is weight tends to come back with company. Okay. So what I did, where is it? You've seen this. I literally refer to this now as my one box. This is my box for trying my file box for tracking word of mouth advertising. So that's my one box, word of mouth. And then way over here, there it is. Didn't put it where it belongs. Way over there, I have my one binder, my word of mouth binder, again, for tracking. The reality is, if you're going to do something, whether it's money or material, being able to track it is absolutely imperative. Now, I'm hoping tomorrow, like you mentioned here, Carlito, that you've dropped a little bit of weight. Well, you actually said you lost it. So I'm hoping I didn't end up finding it. But the reality is I won't check it until tomorrow. Yeah, Corazon goes, Carlito, the tiny gray alien. Heck yeah, man. You're now Carlito, the smaller tiny gray alien. I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. I was looking at a report on. I was looking at a report on a lady that was at one point 627 pounds, and is now, due to a number of issues, and clearly she had a health issue, because according to the report, she was 50 pounds by the time she was 2, which means there's no way that was the parents' problem, or the parents' mistreatment. That absolutely had to be an issue of a health issue. But with a lot of work and a lot of dedication, she dropped down to 100, and I believe she was 145 when she last checked. Yeah, I mean, I thought my brother did well when he wasn't half the man he used to be. You know, unfortunately, he went back up again and then completely kicked off. But the fact of the matter is, in this chat room, the support I see getting handed to people all the time, this is what I desire to see take place in the physical world. Okay. Now, just a quick little note, guys. If you do enjoy the stream, do make certain you turn around and give us a thumbs up if you would be kind enough to do so. Seems to have a positive algorithm, a positive impact on the algorithm for YouTube. Okay. Now I know I've dropped a few subscribers, and I'm absolutely certain a lot of that is because I've been missing days periodically recently. But well, in her case, like that would leave hanging skin football. The reality of it is, where it comes to that, and this is why, in her case, she actually had a gastric bypass and had the excess skin removed. In my case, I found something very simple. If you stick to dropping your weight by a pound to a pound and a half a week, as in 4 to 6 pounds, and that's 4 to 6 pounds a month, okay, your skin will adjust in size, or so it would seem. Now, understand, I am no medical practitioner, okay, but this is what I've found. The big thing that I've got to point out, guys, is when you desire to do something, remember, you didn't just get to where you are now. Okay, it didn't happen overnight with a little bit of luck. Once in a while, somebody does have that event happen. And thank you so much there, Corazon. I do appreciate it. Some people have an accident that overnight their life changes. Okay, which is what happened with my knee. Right. Where are we here? Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Derek has just said here, I got a video of an alien. We'll post it after midnight on my YouTube channel. Channel is the same as my name. And what I'm looking at this. Yeah. Derek's just saying hello to all you. I have no doubt you're being honest there, Derek. And with you, I never question that side of it. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word, SOACE, but I work with what I can. Oh, by the way, Derek, yes, I know you've got the soft copy in your possession. Oh, perfect. Thank you. We're talking typo, not pronunciation thing. Whoop. But your hard copy of Positive Perspectives is en route. Okay, it went out yesterday. Because like I said, from my standpoint, it's very simple. It doesn't matter. What I end up doing is on this file where I pull up somebody's name, I just write on the back of it what is going out. Helps me keep tabs on things a little easier. And one thing I will tell you guys, okay, I mentioned it before, where it comes to my database, because of the fact I work with a number of different projects, if I've got people's birthdays, then that does have a bearing on how I deal with things. And no, I do not ever send my information unless the government comes in and says, you've got to. I don't sell it to anybody. I don't give it to anybody. And would you look at that? I'm almost running out of month again here. This is good. Well, sort of. The reality of it is that from my end, a lot of things are changing, but we've got to get on top of it. Now, here's the thing. Okay, with Inner Voice Enterprises, my company, I keep getting asked questions that I've got to figure out how to expand it, but the questions are coming in way faster than I can compensate for. More to the point, the questions as to what I'll be able to deal with. Now, remember I said, what's your next step? What is the next step on your path to success? Okay, first thing you got to figure out. Oh, yeah. Corazon is going, when it's my birthday, we can have cake. Derek goes, make it a caramel ice cream cake. You do realize, Corazon, if Derek makes one that he pops out of, the first problem you have is if he's in there too long, it melts. He gets really sticky. If he has to be inside it as it's being made, he may end up turning into a popsicle. But one thing to keep in mind where it comes to birthdays, I realize there, Corazon, you've said, when it's my birthday, we can have cake. The problem there is I have no idea what your birthday is. Okay. But I know where we got. And Derek goes, remember though, I'm 6'5". That's a big cake. Oh yeah. This has just gone completely sideways, but hey, what the heck? And this is what some people call a troll, is when the conversation goes sideways. Guys, like on Spaced Out Radio, where I am, once a month for the last 8 years, like there, I still look at what's going on in the chat room. Okay, to me, this is not about me. Okay, it really isn't. It's about you finding your niche and really coming to having your dreams come to fruition. Okay, so I mean, from my standpoint, yeah, I'm looking at this, Derek. Derek's 6'5". I'm 5'8". Okay, needless to say, Derek is one of these people that if I ever run into you, I undoubtedly will have to look up to you. I think that has something to do with a height discrepancy. But if you think that's bad, I used to date a girl that was 5 foot nothing. Okay, I mean, really wonderful lady. She was a runway model. Now the thing is, what I'm looking at, because people have been asking me, does Inner Voice do blogging? I don't even know what blogging is, to be honest with you. It makes it a little bit complicated, so it's something I'm going to have to look into. Okay. But I've been asked about blogging, I've been asked about speech writing, and I've been asked about, what was it now? There was something else somebody was wanting to know about. Do I do proofreading and editing? The answer is yeah, we will. Okay. But that being said, they fall under the same price. But that'll all be worked out. Derek goes, funny thing, my mom is 5 feet, and she's one of 5 sisters. All of them are 5 feet. So they all got 5 feet. They all ended up at 5 feet. You ended up at 6'5". So if we make them 5'7", you're taking a foot off. See, you know, if you gave 2 inches to them, you'd all be close to the same height. Of course, that may cause a complication. Joe, how you doing? And Joe just got home with his parents from his sister's house. They were out in the pontoon boat in the sun today. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I do apologize for yesterday. I am bound and determined to get in, but here's the good thing. Okay. Well, I think it's a good thing. My son has finally graduated. He's completely done with school. So the demands on my time regarding his efforts are complete. Yesterday was a write-off anyway. As soon as I blew my leg out yesterday, it's still attached. It's fine. It just dislocated. But I ended up sleeping the better portion of the day. Net result, why I wasn't on my own. Yeah, it absolutely is. He is finally finished with it. He's got things he's got to get done now. But the actual grade 1, kindergarten to grade 12, he's done with. I mean, it was funny. He just about made it, just about graduated before I went into early retirement. I went into early retirement in May, and he's now done. Okay. So we're moving forward. No problem there. Now, presumably, Nathan. Oh, speaking of which, why don't we do that while I'm thinking about it? Here we are. This is the link to Nathan's show, to Nathan's YouTube show. Okay, where are we? Pop that. And this Saturday, presumably you're going to be back on Saturday. Oh, no football. Quite frankly, where it comes to getting into college, they tell you that if you're not making, that you've got to make at least a 65% on your grades for them to let you in. What they don't tell you is if you're not making 80, they won't even look at you. No, I wasn't thinking tonight, Nathan. I was thinking next Saturday. Because I think tonight you're likely working. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, nice. Derek's just going, Nathan, I name dropped your channel 4 times last night on Spaced Out Radio. People are lazy in that chat. I will get Marquis tonight to name drop your show. He tends to post my comments a lot. The thing there, the nice little part about it there is some chat rooms are active. This one's getting more and more so. And I love it personally. Sometimes it makes it fun trying to stay focused, but in all fairness, I have a heck of a time staying focused anyway. But no, my youngest is looking at, I don't know what he's looking at just yet. My eldest is already set up to go back to school. I'm looking at going to business school this fall. Well, as soon as I can get in to get a handle on marketing and what have you. Like I said, I'm not perfect by any functional stretch. But Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I'm presuming your day has been going well. At least I sure hope so. So I'm looking at this. Okay, as we know, lots of books on the go. I'm already working on my newsletter for August. And if you guys have any idea or any areas, any added things, like, I am seriously considering, years ago, I used to build my own search and finds, right? Just to put in as an added bonus in the newsletter. You know, so I am looking at that and debating whether I should put that back in. Not a problem there at all, football. There, like, I will be adding more information there. I just question the way some of it is done. And it's not a question of the interpretations, it's a question of the negative spin people tend to put on it. You know, like there is stuff. Let me see. What do I got? Let me call up that other one because I wonder if I've actually started listing off what I'm looking at. August. There we go. Nope, I have not listed what I'm working on yet. So, that being said, and all I'm doing here, as I mentioned, I always keep paper handy for notes. This is what I get for being a bit of a dinosaur. Okay. So, what I'm looking at there, I am going to be tackling another major science in the paranormal. Okay, major tool in the paranormal. Uh-oh. You know, so that's the one. Now, when I take a look at that, football, that is just terrible. You know, unfortunately, like I cannot fathom that for me personally. You know, because I take a look at it going, I've got two boys, and as you guys know, my kids come first. Okay, that's just the way it is. You know, they come first, and that is the way it's going to stay. Derek goes at the 1 hour, 5 minute mark and the guest was talking bad about everyone in Spaced Out Radio chat. He didn't know he was live. I'm not entirely. What do we got here? I'm not quite entirely certain I would call that a funny setup. Wait a minute. I'm looking at this football, and you said in the U.S. you can leave your baby in a safe space? What kind of a bizarre setup is that? I mean, okay, if that's the law, great, but there's this funny little thing called morals and responsibility and what have you that I run into a bit of a snag with. Okay, a safe space being the police station, not a great thing, but at least they're living with a group of people that theoretically will get the kid to protect his safety. I was thinking you were referring to a park, and I'm going like that's just bizarre. Yeah, Christine goes, yeah, in the U.S. it's called safe surrender. Ouch. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Making sure the kid goes someplace that he can be taken care of is great. Christine's just saying that's safe in her state. Now, you're down in Texas, are you not, Christine? You know, I like from my standpoint, it really boils down to, you know, football cat goes, the baby survived me. You know, and of course, Derek's just going on with that issue of the guy talking down to everybody. Dave stuck up for everyone. His wife tried to save face with the audience. There we go. Christine's just saying this is Southern California. Yeah, see, I don't hate any of you. You know, hate, I'm the human race I have trouble with, yes. But do I hate them? No. You know, I just learned that a lot of them follow the same odd path. Christy Abels, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, I got accused of being one day a guy accused me of being. I appreciate that, Christine. You know, I got accused of by somebody of being uncivilized, and they called me something else. And I'm like, I wouldn't debate the uncivilized part, because civilized, from what I've seen, boils down to being politically correct. And rest assured, I am not actually politically correct on much of anything. You know, I did, you know, the nice part from my end, I am going to be down in Texas, but the reality, or I'm going to be down in El Paso. Nope, that's not quite right. That's the airport I'm coming down to. As soon as I've got the money, as soon as my card comes in, I will be turning around and booking the flight to make certain I can get down there later this fall. Well, fall, it'll be October. You know, to me, like when I was down in Texas about 8 years ago, I did end up taking a trip up to Houston. Way, way, way too big for me. I mean, heck, we've only got 160,000 people here. Okay, in the trading area. Okay, to me, that's too big. So you can picture how much fun I'm going to have with 500,000 or more. You know, but I'm now where I'm going with the newsletter, because I'm building an arc. Okay, but I have to put out the foundation first. This is where the communication lines and that network comes in. Okay, now I have a whole list of different parameters that I'm dealing with. Okay, and one thing, if you are right now, when I talk about running a business in this case, okay, when I'm talking about going after your success, okay, one thing I have found is sadly missing in most businesses, and by the way, running a household is a business. Okay. The one thing I find many people are missing is what I call a policy book. Some people call it a operations and procedures book. If you don't have one, even for your own house, okay, it is imperative, in my opinion, that you put one together. Oh, Corazon. It actually was really good. Okay, I've never been, well, that's not true. The restaurant I go to, I was only ever disappointed with one meal. Okay, and they don't have that on the menu anymore, which works out nicely. You know, but what we did was we went out for a grad dinner. You know, basically we went out for dinner before my son's grad ceremony. And then we just got the grad ceremonies done this afternoon, so we went out for dinner, for lunch right afterwards. Spent way too much money in the restaurants lately, but on the plus side, I'm now done with all of that. I can now settle back in and really bring things back under control. You know, there is no question, and this is what I was trying to think who is coming down here. Oh, Adam. I believe it's Adam's coming down here. Yep, it's Adam. You know, the fact is, I like going out for dinner because I hate cooking. It's probably half the reason. But when you get an idea of where you're aiming, the idea of a policy book, all you require in a policy book, or innate procedures and operations. Whether it's for running your house, running a business, running a small business, running an intercontinental corporation, doesn't matter. The policy book is of the same value. And all you have in it is what is the date you're making the policy, what is the policy itself, and why did you make the policy. Now, this policy book, you check back every 3 or 4 months because some policies will have to change. Okay, there are certain ones I know when I set them in place, and I'll be saying mine up tonight because I've got to get it all organized. Everything's got to be running properly. So I'll be saying that up tonight, as well as doing a whole pile of writing, but that's me. Okay, now, just to give you an example, in my case, one of the policies I'm looking at, okay, because everybody has bills that come in, okay, now there's all kinds of different philosophies on how to deal with bills. Okay, they're due on such and such a date. Okay, now if you get a bill in that says it's due on the 16th, okay, make your policy to pay that bill either, and this is where your choice, well, it's always your choice. 2 options. 1, pay the bill the second it comes in, or 2, pay the bill a week before the actual due date. Okay, and the reason for that is continuity of bill payments. Okay, now I've tried both, and it got something dawned on me that I do find if I pay the bill right away, I don't have to worry about it. I just simply mark off on the calendar when it was paid. That way, I can just look at my hard copy calendar and go, nope, that's paid, it's done with, I don't need to worry about it. Okay, the reason for that is continuity. Now, that's one of the big things. The other thing is, and this is why I said, am I looking for people's birthdays? Absolutely. But this is why. Okay. I don't intend on bombarding you with all kinds of things. Okay. But the reality is, the company may grow to the point, and I never desire it to grow to this point, which is my choice. Okay. Many companies, when they get too big, they are all of a sudden, the customer is all of a sudden nothing but a number. Okay, so what I look at is, I take a look at this. Okay, and I take these cards, and we'll just pull out, not that one. There. Now, I pull out, now this particular index card is simply because I need a starting point. I need an anchor point to do all of this. Okay. Yeah. Uh-oh. Joe goes, I understand now that my house and my property are definitely haunted by what I saw last night, and I choose to accept that. That's absolutely fantastic, because I'll tell you, if your house and your property are haunted, the odds are they're not going away anytime soon. However, on the plus side, I don't personally feel they're of any threat, other than they may screw up your sleeping on occasion. Corazon is writing continuity, the unbroken, consistent existence of operation of something over time. Pretty much. Ultimately, Nathan, yes. If you can take a company and instead of just having a whole pile of customers, okay, you have a whole pile of friends that you're connected with. This is, to my way of thinking, the way of building a proper net, a proper community. Because I will tell you, if you're in a community and you're worried about your crime rate being too high, the one consistency I have found, no matter what environment you're in, okay, no matter what the community or the size of the community you're living in. You desire the crime rate to stay low. On the whole, the better you know your neighbors, okay, what happens is they won't turn around. On the whole, there's always going to be some sort of a genius. Okay. Well, in a way, football, and we'll get to that in half a second. What I have found is that when you're reaching out to people and you get to know who they are, the nice part about it is even in the bad communities, many times the robbing of each other, the stealing from each other ends up being reduced. Now, this is not the case where you have drugs involved. Drugs and when you've got a drug addict, okay, it becomes a very big and very different complication. But when we're just talking about social interaction, the more you understand each other, the better off you are. Now, Football Canada said it's hard to make friends when you're older. Well, there's two reasons for that. One, because you've been taught it's harder as you get older. And two, because you're much more set in your ways, and therefore you may have trouble adapting to new people coming in. Okay, but that being said, that can be learned as well. Now, rest assured, I've been reclusive for over a decade. Okay, I'm now starting to reach out a lot more. And one of my biggest goals, one of the biggest transitions at this point, is to start making certain that I can actually open doorways and make the connections necessary and the communication lines necessary to bring things into balance, to get a better interaction going on. The reality is I cannot tell you, well, I could tell you to go out and do it, but how can I expect you to come out of your shell and reach out and talk to people if I'm not willing to do it in my shell? Okay, and rest assured, I've been this way pretty much my entire life. Okay, starting when I was just a tiny thing. So now what I'm looking at, and I will tell you this, football, when you're reaching out, striving to make friends, the first thing you gotta keep in mind. Shane, how you doing? Glad you can show. Presumably your day has been going well. Mine's been hectic as all get out, but that's normal. The one thing to keep in mind when you're reaching out to make friends, to expand your connection to the material world, is first and foremost, make absolutely certain you know what your boundaries are, what you're going to accept into your life. Okay. An obvious example for me was when my other half approached me with the idea of whether we could make things go. My immediate response was, before we even look at that, understand I'm not moving. Okay. That was just the way it was. Okay. I says, and secondly, I've got a 15-year-old son with mild CP. If he never moves out, that's the way it is. Okay. These were the two boundaries I put right in place and said, that's it. You want those, we can work with it. Chad, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day's been going well. And right here, we have the link to Chad's, well, quite frankly, we have to put it this way, to Chad's archives. Now, honestly, I'm a firm believer you take the past and you put it behind you and let it go. Okay. But there's an old saying, those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Okay. But the problem is those that dwell on it have exactly the same problem, which is why I'm saying make sure that in your own world, okay, when you're looking at reaching out and making new contacts, which may or may not become friends, it may become something more complicated. Okay. But have your own boundaries in place. What are you willing to try to deal with? As I told my other half, okay, I said, look, you lie to me, the odds are it'll kill the relationship. May not kill it immediately, but it will create one heck of a barrier. Okay, and yes, I have talked people and couples through a deception that reached a certain level and helped them stabilize things. So can it be done? Absolutely. Am I likely to do it? No. Okay. So I turned around. I says, you do that, we have that one probable problem. I said, you ever cheat on me? There won't be a discussion. There will be no coming back. There will be no turning it around. Okay. Now these are boundaries that are just flat out concrete. There's no malleability with them. Okay. Which maybe I'm a little stuck on things, maybe not. It doesn't really matter to me. But put your boundaries in place and you know exactly what they are. Now, one of the things I will tell you, I told my other half, and I'll tell all you guys the same thing. If you've got a question, come out and ask. I will give you a definitive answer. It may not be what you like, okay, but it will be honest. Okay, but it's because of that outlook that I look at it and go, I can demand in my mind, in my heart, I can demand honesty from the people I deal with, especially the one that I'm looking to share my life with. Okay, and it's just a concrete issue that you've got to stand on. Pick your boundaries. Where it comes to now, do understand you're looking at taking your life from where it is. That sounds really bad. Hopefully, you're not looking at taking your life. Okay. Hopefully, you're looking at changing your life from the path it's on to something so much brighter. And the trick to that is identify what you're not content with. Okay. This is why I'm working on things in the way I am. Now, what do I got here? Absolutely nothing you got to worry about there. That's live chat, and that went back to top chat. I don't understand why it does that. Joe is asking, can you tell me the difference between types of white floating apparitions? What? There are so many variations on that, Joe. Usually, if you're seeing a white floating apparition, most of the time you're dealing with a positive, with a well balanced individual, and 99% of the time, or maybe better, they're absolutely no threat to you or to anybody aside from your version of reality. Okay, yeah, seeing a floating apparition can be disconcerting. But most of the time when they take on white, that's because positive energy tends to look very light in color, very light, very vibrant. Your colors don't tend to be subdued. Okay. And now if you're looking in chakras, the color white is the color of what they call Christ consciousness, which literally means it is a very high, very vibrant, honest outlook on life. And when your apparition takes on that color, that's usually what it's trying to say. It's like, look, I know I might be disturbing you, but I am friendly. Okay. When you have one that comes in black, quite honest and quite often, these are the ones that are really caught in an issue of major trauma at their own passing. Maybe they had a real bad run of things in their own life and they took that negative thing with them and are still agitated about something or somebody that did something to them. Okay. Now I've run into black entities. Neat part about a black entity, just like in the real world. Okay, if you take a look at Shadow, at like Shade, and you turn, not him, Okay, assuming shade is a him. When you take a look at darkness, you bring in light, it will split the darkness, it will push it out of the way, and all of a sudden you've got a very positive outcome here. Okay, but that ultimately is the difference between the light and dark. Now, the other thing with there are a couple of white ones that come in. Okay, the first is your primary overall. Okay, then you've got some that will deliberately, the apparition will deliberately take on the appearance of having wings. Most of the time, this is an apparition that has chosen not to take on their own form, but to take on a form. The wings are intended to let you know that this is somebody that's bringing a positive message or a positive sense of guidance to you. Okay, this is one of the biggest issues. Now, I will tell you this: you see an apparition in a white robe with a white hat. My suspicion is not a real nice type of person. Okay, but do not forget, when people pass away, they tend to hang on to the last image that they had. That's the easiest one for them to access. And some of these people, and I kid you not a word of a lie with this, like I'm going to lie to you anyway. One of the things that you got to remember, of these people that are in today's world, you see somebody dressed in a white poncho with a white hood, everybody goes one direction. What people forget to look at is why that person is dressed that way. What drove them to that direction? Yeah, Corazon's going, I want a girl with a short skirt and a long jacket. Okay, I actually haven't heard that song, but I will tell you, I remember dating a young lady that liked to wear micros. Okay, and she arrived at my place in a micro. We were going to go out, and she goes, "Oh, I better get changed." I went, "Why?" She goes, "Well, look what I'm wearing." I says, "I'm looking at what you're wearing." And now bear in mind, this kid was a working model. And I'm looking at her going, "I'm looking at what you're wearing and I fail to see a problem." Her immediate response, which might give you an idea where she came from, right? She goes, "Well, my last relationship was upset when I dressed like this, because other people looked at me." I said, "Look, and you women out there that like dressing to the nines, okay, or you gentlemen that do, understand something very important. Dress what you feel is good. I mean, obviously, use some common sense. Okay, and I know that's a rare commodity, but you know, the reality is, if you've got a gentleman or a girlfriend, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, so many variations, doesn't matter. When you've got a partner that complains about the fact that you're getting dressed up, you may be with the wrong person. Okay, this may be a hint that you might want to look at something else. That you might want to consider, is this really what you desire? I've seen people literally go from dressing to the nines on a daily basis because they got connected to somebody that wasn't. Joe saying, then the white ghost apparition I saw last night when it was raining out was there for a reason. The white ghost, number one, may not have even realized that it was dead. If it was just boating through the rain, depending on whereabouts, it may well have passed away where you saw it. Okay, and it may still be trying to find its way back. But does it feel like it's anything at all that you need to worry about? No, not in the slightest. Not from not from what I'm picking up. The white ghost apparition you saw is likely a very positive, very nice individual that simply passed away. And the fact they were running probably means that they passed away rather abruptly. I remember watching somebody pass away and they died so fast they didn't even know they were dead. That was a fun soul to turn around. But no, I don't feel that that one is of any danger to you at all. Odds are you simply were in the right place at the right time. Shade's going, okay. New pickups installed properly, grounded on 5-way switch to strange noises. He's ready to test this fender strap. If I don't, he goes, time to test this fender strat. If I don't come back, call Jack Black. Now, I don't know the song, but clearly given the music sounds, the music notes after that, we are talking about a song from somewhere. I am not a music aficionado, and thankfully thankfully for you, and for me for that matter, I'm not going to sit here and sing to you. Okay, I mean, talk about a way of ruining a perfectly good night, or at least a passable one. So I'm not going there. And no, in answer to that question that nobody's bothered asking or bothered thinking of asking, before anybody gets any brilliant ideas, I don't do karaoke. Heck, I barely sing on my own. Oh, nice, Shade. Yeah, Shade's just been putting a guitar back together. And this is the thing. If you can do more than one thing at a time, this is fantastic. My biggest holdup is I don't know how to do one thing at a time. But when you look at the reality of things, okay, it is absolutely imperative that you really start off getting to know what you feel is important to you. Not what everybody else feels is important, except one detail. Be sure to follow the laws of the land in which you are. Now, for me, right now, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, I don't think, maybe I do. Nope, not offhand. So, what we do is sub count. In other words, my subscription count. Find out before the end of this month, i.e., right now we are looking at June 24th. So before the end of this week, I've got to have in my books an absolute solid count of what my subscription run looks like. The reason for that is because if you're going to change your life, absolutely critical that you do a quantifiable track on it. I decided with changing my sleeping and with changing my health, I was going to get in better shape. Now, the reality is, in my eyes, I'm in better shape than I was 30 years ago, but I intend on getting into better shape. Okay, and rest assured, this does not mean that I'm going to become a power lifter. I would be able to lift more than 20. I would like to be able to lift more than 10 pounds, but that's just me. It's neat. I talk to so many people that go, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I keep looking and I'm going, I don't know if I want to grow up. Round is absolutely a shape there, Corazon. The reality is that when you take a look at any shape, okay, it takes all kinds of shapes. Let's face it. When you start learning how to draw, okay, for instance, you start by drawing, from what I've seen, if you're looking to draw a person, start by drawing faint circles to cover the head, the neck, the shoulders, just overlap them. This will give you a basic form. Okay, and yes, I am starting to work on my own artistic abilities, but I'll tell you, and this is something I will be starting to post, is the actual color prints on various areas. Shay goes, um, well, I do part-time work fixing guitars since COVID for a small guitar store and for some friends. It's fun while listening to these shows. Time goes by. You know, I love the idea of repairing the old things. Repairing the guitars. The idea of a synthetic sound. Yes, a synthetic sound can be done very nicely. But I will tell you, for me personally, I prefer the sound of an acoustic guitar over the sound of an electric one any day of the week. Okay. The only instrument I've ever heard that I really did not like listening to when the person was first learning. Okay. Flutes are hard on my ears. Okay. But bagpipes, when the person doesn't know how to play them, are absolutely frightening, in my opinion. Now, of course, I do have a bit of a hiccup there. My heritage is Scottish. No, I do not play the bagpipes. Okay. But I can tell you, when I hear somebody playing the bagpipes that doesn't know how, you know, when I listen to somebody trying to play the bagpipes, it sounds like they're throttling a cat. Okay, you know, yeah. Corazon goes, I hate the sound of a vacuum cleaner. I knew one person that couldn't sleep at all until you turned on a weed eater. Then they'd be out like a light. For me, a vacuum cleaner, I just hate doing it. Don't get me wrong, I've got one. I've actually got three, but from my standpoint, it's just one of those annoying little chores that we gotta look at. So right now, what I am looking at here, well, yeah, yeah, no. Honestly, Corazon, when we discovered this about this one individual, the munchkin we found out about it was only a couple of years old. Well, in all fairness, was only a couple of months old. But no, yo, where it comes to the weed smoker, yo, I used to. I got nothing against weed. I got nothing against the people that smoke it. Right? The only time that I caution people about it is, number one, if your lungs don't work right in the first place, smoking weed seems to be overstated. Or if it triggers it triggers panic attacks or negative hallucinogenics. It may be wise not to do that. Just a thought. Yeah. Shay goes, I'm not the best, okay? That's why they don't pay me the big bucks. Just saying, times are tough still since COVID. Lost my job to COVID, was one of those people. You know, from my standpoint, here's the thing where it comes to smoking, which has nothing to do with where we started, but what the heck. About 15, 20 years back, the Canadian government came out and announced the number one cause of lung cancer. Okay, that number one cause was not smoking. The Canadian Health Authority billed the number one cause of lung cancer as breathing. Now, I'm telling you, if you have to stop breathing to avoid lung cancer, we may have a problem. Because I'm thinking, granted, you won't have lung cancer. Yeah, Corazon goes, it was having lungs. No, but I will tell you this. Number one cause of divorce in the world is marriage. Okay, two and three, and it's a toss up who you talk to, are fidelity or infidelity, rather, and finances. Okay, the three top causes of a relationship collapse. Okay. And the sad reality of it is, where it comes to a relationship, the paperwork does nothing for commitment levels. I'd love to say it does, but it doesn't. So I like to say it does, so I'm going to say it does. I like it so much, I'm going to say it does again, or it does. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you like the sound of something, say it within reason. Rest assured, I end up here in Canada, I do swear a lot. In the winter, quite often I say 4-letter words. And they usually are things like snow or rain or cold. Okay. So from my standpoint, I do my best not to swear, but 4-letter words kind of come up. But you've got a goal in your life. Now is the time to take that next step. You know where you're standing. That goal is over there now. People keep talking about chasing their dreams. Okay. I'm a firm believer this is not a good idea. I'm much happier with the idea of building my dream. Okay. Starting right there. Yeah. Shade's Gang, okay, is just informing us here. Okay, this next guitar was dropped and it's making a lot of noise. Likely cheap Chinese soldering broke off at ground. Okay. And, well, by definition, by definition, we have to realize that you're looking at obviously electronics. Now, here's the thing, Corazon. Corazon goes cheap and Chinese. Who'd have thunk? Here's the sad part. I was in a grocery store in town here, and a Canadian, as in born and bred in Canada. Never mind the skin color, never mind the heritage. They were born and bred in Canada. Okay. And talk about a lazy employee. You have cheap construction all over the world. You have super moguls. Okay, massive corporations that cut corners to save a nickel. Okay, from what I gather, this tragedy that happened with the sub just recently was because they ignored the fact that there were safety standards that were not met. Okay, so they cut the corners. They fired the guy that reported them, and carried on. That worked out really well. And by the way, on a quick note, my sincere condolences for those left behind. The ones that passed away, well, let's face it, they didn't exactly need to have condolences. The unfortunate part is I do agree with you to a degree there, Corazon. The reality of it is this. Society has come apart at the seams. Okay. It turns out the Civil War I was figuring was going to hit Russia did, but it's not these civilians against the military. Turns out it's the military against itself, but the outcome is still the same. Now I will tell you, I'm sitting here. Yes, I went to England to find my artist for the Yldrbac Chronicles, but that's because I spent a year and a half in Kelowna looking for a local artist. I couldn't find one, and this said, if you happen to be in Kelowna and you are an artist and you're looking for work, absolutely get in touch with me. Not only am I still looking for artists, am I still looking to put people, help people grow in that fashion. Okay. But I'm a firm believer you got to start somewhere. Yeah, and unfortunately, this is because of demand. Now, I'm a firm believer, Shade. As a matter of fact, all of you, I'm an absolute firm believer. The best thing that any country can do to their economy is move their manufacturing back home and pay at a functional price. And when I mean functional, like I said, the easiest way to kill inflation is to freeze wages and salaries, or not wages and salaries, wages, salaries, and price across the board. You freeze it, you have zero inflation. Net result, things will start happening. The problem is inflation seems to be built into two factors. One, greed. Two, impatience. Okay. And that is the simple reality of it. Am I going to, I'll tell you that right off the bat. And this is why, while I'm making inner voice grow, I'm putting policies in place that go, this is what I'm doing, not because it's the norm, not because it's what everybody says should happen. Absolutely, Corazon. As a matter of fact, there is one site I will recommend that I don't put in here. Okay. If you ever want to take a look at some absolutely twisted footage, look up Darwin Awards. Okay. Look up Darwin Awards, I believe it is. Well, where did we go? Oh, guess I should actually put that there. Gotta get that there, or I can't type it anyway. DarwinAwards.com. Okay. Now I've gone to that before, to that one. Yeah. Now I'm just going to do something here because, well, I can. I'm just going to see if this works. Darwin Awards. If I hit that, that called it up. I was right. So we take this one, and we're just going to copy that. And now I'm going to paste the link directly. This, I actually went to the site. And there we are. Bingo. It's got some really twisted outlooks. Okay. The reality of it is this. When you desire your life to change, you're the one that's going to have to do it. Now, I can lay out all the different tools that I know of. And rest assured, if they apply to me, I'm putting them to use. Maybe not perfectly. Like, for instance, I told you at the beginning of the year that I desire to be, I did, that I desire to be able to curl 25 pounds. Well, I'll tell you, I haven't done a dang thing with it. I am a professional procrastinator. Okay. I used to put things off. Now I just don't do them. Okay. But you desire your life to change. Now is the time to do it because now is the only time you can do it. Okay. You can talk about doing it tomorrow, but by the time tomorrow gets here, well, the saying is this: today is the tomorrow you talked about yesterday. And tomorrow and today is also the yesterday you will talk about tomorrow. But by the time you get to tomorrow, needless to say, it is today. So when you're looking at changing your life, it is time to do it now. And this is why when I went, I'm putting a newsletter together. It's going to be free and it's going to go global. Now, I found it really kind of comical because, no sooner did I say I wanted it to go global, then it was picked up over in Australia. So now it's not I desire it to go global. It's already there. Okay. And what I am looking at is because of that, when you start looking at, I'm going to start doing things like posting the different book series I'm working on and starting to push that growth of it. But let me ask you this. Are you content with the way your life is? If you are, then it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and I do appreciate the encouragement there, Corazon. I'm just looking to see where I put it. And I don't know where I put it. Hopefully it's down here. No, it is not down here. Of course not. Which means it's probably up front and I'm not going up there to find it. But yes, I have to buckle down and put my mind to it. Because I'll tell you, much as I am in better shape now than I have been, I'm not in the shape I desire to be in. Okay. One thing I'm not going to do is no matter what kind of shape I get into, I'm not about to turn around and go, oh, look at me. I've got such great muscles. I am so strong. Oh, powerful me. No, not oh, powerful me. What that means is all your muscle went to your body and your brain completely went dry, in my opinion. I appreciate that, Corazon. I do know I will have to do it from home because my leaving the house doesn't work well. But I do have free weights. I don't have a full bar in any sense of the word anymore. But I do have the little, like these little bars here. You know, obviously that's a pretty light bar because it's got no weights. But I think enough that I can get about 30 pounds with the set I've got onto one bar. Now, needless to say, I'm not doing that right off the bat. But I do have to get started with it. You know, I don't actually have the room to really get the full 5 foot bar and work those weights, but I don't have the strength for it right now anyway. So it's really not a major issue. But I do have to get started on it. Yeah. And Corazon just goes, the extra weight, the extra lifting is good for the bones, lean muscle. All you need is free weights or body weight to get started. That was what I was thinking, Corazon, but I do appreciate the confirmation or the corroboration. I watched a guy the other day that was training for the Ironman competition. I think it was Ironman. Basically, what he was doing is he'd taken a great big tractor trailer tire and was flipping it over. Now, I'm telling you, my leg will not handle that kind of weight. Yeah, I love it would, but now come on, Corazon, you can comment on a lot of things. Whether it's with knowledge behind it or not is another issue. You know, but no, the reality of it is, I know mentally speaking, my mind is shot and there's no hope for that. So I might just well work on the body and see what I can do there. But the reality, I'm not content with the fact I ended up causing myself a complete mess last fall by carrying a staggering about 40 pounds of weight. Well, 15, no, sorry, 30 kilo. So that, was about 25, yeah, 12, 24 kilo. Okay, so about 50 pounds of weight. And that little bit of exercise, carrying that from my house to, that's cute. Carrying that from my house and from my car to my house completely wiped me out for 3 hours. And that was not acceptable to me. My heart was fine. I just wore my body out on the adrenaline side of things. You know, have I started changing my diet? Absolutely. But for those of you that think I'm going to do something brilliant, like go on all these different, all these different diet drinks and what have you, it ain't going to happen. Okay, not going to happen. I don't have much for taste buds, but I have less of an interest in that than I do in healthy eating, and I don't cook well. And that can be phrased slightly differently by my going, well, I don't cook. And honestly, I don't do so much. From my standpoint, the other thing, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Corazon, I was told this seems to make sense that if and when doing reps, instead of doing a lot of reps, do only one set of reps, but do them very slowly. What I was told was that is actually better for building muscle and muscle strength and definition than a whole pile of reps. Okay. So I'm going to, from my standpoint, and here's why I don't go down to the gym, other than I have to leave the house, and that doesn't work well. But I've talked to people in there that are trained professionals that are dumber than fence posts, and no offense intended to the fence posts, but for me, this is one of the reasons why I turn to just what I call the common people. Okay, people that aren't necessarily trained but live in this environment. Okay, they are much more adept at telling you this is how to deal with it. This is why the self-help books that I've got up for grabs. As a matter of fact, let me see if I've got that. Oh, no, I got to finish going through that. The books that I've got up for grabs are based on the tools that I personally put to use every day. Okay, it's not a question of these may work for you. It's a question of these have worked for me and literally thousands of others. Okay, am I an internationally, am I an international, author, is a superstar author? Not even remotely close. Well, I guess remotely could qualify. But when you've got a goal in your mind, pick where you desire it to go. Now, right now for me, it's real simple. Okay, I've got to calculate out what my growth was for June, and I've got it all tracked, so I just have to make note of it so I can see what it's doing in July. And that can be done by using an old graph. That is just the reality of it. Okay, I'm still a dinosaur in a lot of ways. Let's face it. We have my database. Okay, and I'm not digging it up because it's sitting under a whole pile of stuff right now. But I've got a tabletop calendar to keep track of when I'm doing things. As a matter of fact, let me do that right now. That part of it I can do. Go back into here, HI. Pop that in where it belongs. And that's my one box. Of course, back when I was a kid, we used to have a boom box. Some of you will recall that. I dang near had a coronary the other day, though. I was in a restaurant and I told somebody that 45 years ago, Kelowna, the weather was absolutely brutal. And they literally told me there is no way I could remember 45 years ago. I went and they went like, how could you possibly remember that? I looked at them, I said, I was here. There is no way that 40 years ago you remember that clearly. And then it dawned on me and I looked at them and I went, curiosity, but how old do you actually think I am? Well, they never missed a heartbeat. They looked at me and went 40, maybe 45. Right? I looked at him and I says, Try 60. And of course, the two of them looked at me and went, that's not possible. So I dug up my license. Here I've been drinking water and my coffee's sitting over here getting cold. It's a good thing I like cold coffee. But where are we? And I don't know if Nathan's in the house right now. We are on the 24th. So, I'll deal with it. I'll move that afterwards. But when you desire, when you desire something to change in your life, you're the one that's going to have to put the effort into it. Okay? And I will tell you, when you start putting the effort into it and you start really looking at it, things are going to shift. Okay, I know this for an absolute certainty because every one of these tools I put to use, they've all worked. Okay, this is why I've got no qualms about them. But we are on Friday now. Tomorrow, of course, by the way, just a quick little note, is open. It is an open topic. So I won't have anything planned. On the other hand, rest assured, I will be bringing some of my characters that I'm going to be painting back into the picture, and I sure hope I can find my paintbrushes because I lost a whole pile of them. But I'm going to be bringing a bunch of them down to work on while I'm online tomorrow. My game ends at 3, and I come on at about 4:30 still. Thanks so much there, Shade. Yeah, I mean, and for me, I have been working at getting, my teeth are a shambles, and no, I'm not going to show you those because that's just rude. Right. I don't have false teeth, I just don't have many of them. But I'm still looking for a way to rebuild them. And I know the secret is inside my body. I may have stumbled across it by talking to a senior. It was funny, I was talking to a senior the other day, a guy, and I think he must be in his mid 80s. And he looked at me when he found out how old I was. He looked at me and he goes, no offense, but just die. You're better off dying now. For me, Shade, the reality is I never paid attention to it. Okay, I mean, I wash it periodically because, well, you really don't want bugs in it. But my hair is always growing this way. If you look at my videos from 2 years ago, I used to have my hair all the way down to here. Okay, I had to wear it in a ponytail. I had to wear it in a ponytail because of the fact that I turned around and let it grow way too long. The reason I cut it was I decided it was time to. Am I going to be turning around and getting into a suit and tie? Not until I'm dead. Okay. Good afternoon, Joe. How you doing? Glad you could join us. And you go back. My hair. I started sweeping it back. My idea of combing is you take a comb and no, I'm not going to get one, and you run it back over the top. It keeps it out of my eyes. And like I told the barber the other day, a few months back when I got cut, when I went in, he asked if I wanted to change. She asked if I wanted to change the style. I looked at her. I says, not a prayer. I said, 50 years of wearing it the same way. I'm not retraining the follicles. It's just going to stay this way. Yeah, Shade, I used to have long hair. And honestly, when I was working in the hospitality industry, I literally had to turn around and cut my hair every 2 weeks, or it would get too long for work. I've never had that problem. Mind you, even if I leave my hair, it usually will come down to the shoulders and then it'll start to bush before it finally gets around to breaking and starting to run for the waistline. The odds of my going back to that, not great. But that's because now I'm with somebody who quite seriously has told me flat out she prefers the shorter hair. But like I told her, sideburns, she's stuck with them. The beard, as in from here to here, will disappear from time to time, as you guys have seen. Okay. Am I upgrading my wardrobe? Yep. But will I ever put a tie on? No, they call that a noose for a reason. Okay. And just not one of my high. Absolutely not, Christine. I absolutely do not. The closest thing I take to having vitamins is, well, here's my vitamin C. It's caffeine. That's as close to vitamin C as I get. Okay. Vitamin D is simply done outside because the vitamin D you get in a bottle, in my opinion, I am not a pharmacist. Well, that's in everybody's opinion. Okay. But the vitamin D that your body requires it reacts more like a photosynthetic reaction. Okay. It's in your body, and half an hour in direct sunlight will trigger the activation of vitamin D. Okay. The pill itself, in my opinion, and this is why I won't touch the stuff, is worse than a placebo. Okay. Half an hour in direct sunlight, and this does not mean you have to go outside. This means sit in front of a window where the glass is moved aside. Doesn't matter if there's a screen there. Okay. Get the glass moved open and sit in front of if you don't want to leave the house, sit in front of an open screened window. You're still getting that sunlight. Okay. And like I said, it's very much like a photosynthetic. As far as the other things, your vitamin B and that sort of thing, I tried it for a little while and found it didn't do a whole lot for me. So I found by literally deciding I'm going to remain healthy because I hate the feeling of being sick. It literally boiled down to what is colloquially known as psychocellular kinesis. My idea, I have 3 sneezes. I just had a cold. 3 sneezes consecutively. I just had a cold. 3 sneezes followed by a hiccup. I just had the flu. And that's where the end of my illness is. I'm just not interested in having any more of it. Joe's just saying, spent last week in the hospital because of an exploded gallbladder. We're not going to repeat what he called the doctors, but let's just say he's not happy. They shaved half of his chest. It looks stupid. Yeah, I mean, for pity's sakes, if you're going to shave half the chest, would you mind just finishing the job? But why in tarnation do you have to shave the chest to cut the skin? Rest assured, this hair is going to go out of the way. You peel the skin back, the hair, it's not like grass with the root system. At least not that kind. But no, my nephew years ago asked me why I don't get ill. He says, everybody I see, they're all health conscious. They watch what they eat. They make sure they get exercise. They do all these proactive things to stay healthy. He goes, Uncle Keith, what is it? You never pay attention to what you're eating, and you sure don't get up and exercise. Okay. I says, no. He says, well, how, pray tell, do you possibly not get ill? I said, I haven't got time for it. So I just don't bother. Now, he took that quite nicely. Doctors, on the other hand, they look at it and go, that doesn't work. I says, fine, you explain it. Do I get stressed about some things? Absolutely. But yes, stress does kill. I developed an attitude that some things I can change, some things I can't. Unfortunately, that attitude also is what just about drove me to shut this stream down, was the fact I'm looking at so many people that are being so blatantly dense and are being taught to be so blatantly dense that I was looking at it going, why bother? Uh-oh, this one I am going to take. I'll be right back. Hello. Talk to me. Okay, that didn't work very well. I am trying to find out what the heck went on. There we go. I'll be right back, guys. You right? I am. I'll be off in about 20 minutes. Okay, I will give you a call back as soon as I'm clear. No problem. Love you. Ciao. Like I said, guys, family comes first. And that's just the reality of it. Not an apology, just an explanation. Where are we here? Yeah, no, I had the CIA do that. That was funny. And then I promptly got told, when I had the CIA show up on my doorstep here, Joe, they showed up and first of all, they tried telling me they weren't connected to anybody. Long story short, after 2 days of talking to me, right, the one that was talking to me turns around and says, "You haven't told us anything that my government doesn't know." I looked at her and I said, "Okay, well, you got one of two choices then." And she goes, "What's that?" I says, "You can either accept that I'm sitting on information that your government doesn't know, or your government's stupid. Take your pick." Well, needless to say, my subtle approach did not really work that well. Okay. And, she goes, "You can't call my government stupid." I looked at her and I went, "Look, first of all, welcome to Canada. I'm an English major. I learned how to call people that." I said, "Secondly, I call my own government stupid. What makes you think I'm going to consider yours any better?" Okay. Now I will tell you, one of the biggest things where it comes to my coffee level, yes, I drink a staggering amount, but the average person takes a 12-cup pot of coffee and puts 4 tablespoons of caffeine, of sugar, or no, 4 tablespoons of coffee into it. Okay. And, even if you're just drinking black coffee, I take a 12-cup pot and I put 1 tablespoon of coffee into it. And that's it, which apparently is enough to change the flavor and do nothing to the system. Okay. Now, whether that's part of the secret or not, I don't know. And I did just notice Shadow came through the door here, and that said, we go back up here. And Shadow, this is the link to Shadow's YouTube channel. And we go there, we pop it down here, we paste it in there, and here you go. And if you guys would be kind enough, when you get the opportunity, drop in on his show, take a look at what he's doing. This is on YouTube. Take a look at what he's doing. If you like what he's talking about, give him a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel. Okay. Ultimately, Shade, I went to a nutritionist when I had my stroke, and I told her. She goes, "How much coffee do you drink?" I says, "I don't know, 30, maybe 40 cups a day." She goes, "You've got to cut back on your coffee." I says, "You might want to know the other side of that." And I explained my ratios. And she goes, "Do you put sugar or cream in it?" I says, "No, just straight coffee." And she goes, "Oh, for crying in a water bucket." She literally looks at me and she goes, "You're barely putting enough coffee in to change the flavor. You're not doing any damage to your system, so carry on drinking as much coffee at that strength as you'd like. Okay, you're getting enough water to flush your system properly." So I do actually have a so-called professional nutritionist that has turned around and said, coffee is good for you specifically. Now, I don't add sugar, I don't add cream, and I don't add a whole lot of strength to my coffee. Right. Needless to say, I can go through 2 or 3 pots and think nothing of it. I used to go through 2 or 3 pots when I made it stronger too, but probably not my wisest move. From my way of looking at it, that means I get the flavor. I don't have to worry about it. You know what the other real kicker is for those of you that like alcohol? Take that color and that strength of coffee, turn it into a B52 splash. Bad idea where it comes to the alcohol content. Absolutely ridiculous idea where it comes to your waistline. But I do like the flavor. But again, that's only something to drink at New Year's or Christmas in my case. Like I said, I only drink, twice, maybe 3 times a year. And then it's only 1 or 2 drinks. But you desire your life to change. For me, it really boils down to this. I'm doing all the work now that I should have done. Well, I opened Inner Voice on August 11th at approximately 5 to 12 a.m. Yeah, approximately 11:55 a.m. on August 11th of 2007. Okay, roughly. Honestly, Shady, if you're a coffee drinker, I would strongly recommend doing that. You'll find you don't get the shakes, you get to drink the coffee. But like I said, that's if you drink black weaker coffee. Yeah, I personally found that it works really well. Not only does it not add the extra problems, it doesn't give you the upset stomach that many people have. Okay, but I will tell you, there is not a snowball's prayer. The Starbucks coffee, because of the strength they make it, personally, I would take one look at it and go, not going to happen. The other bonus, I had a friend years ago, he was a croton. Now, do understand a croton is a plant. Okay. But this guy was addicted to coffee. And at my strength of coffee, I could give him a drink. Even if it was warm, I could give him a drink, it wouldn't hurt him. Oh, now that's annoying, Joe. Yeah, that would be absolutely annoying. Now, Joe, there is. I have to. I don't want to give you the wrong information, so let me see if it's actually sitting here. I don't think so. If it is, that's great. If it's not, it'll have to wait till next time. Nope. I'm gonna make a note for myself there, Joe. I know that you're talking about the tiny little. They're almost the size of a pinhead, if you will. Little kind of a reddish brown colored ant. I presume that's what you're referring to. There is a. If that is the case, there is a pesticide that I use. It's a little gel that works like an absolute charm for me. And I've just made a note to bring it with me tomorrow so I can show you what it is I'm talking about. Okay, because those little things are annoying as all get out. Okay, I had them for a while. They got into everything. Got into my cupboards. They got onto the floor. They got into my electronics. It didn't matter. But this stuff I'm going to show you tomorrow works like a charm. Okay, they take it, they pick it up, they head back, and they eat it. They love the stuff. I have no idea. I don't even like the look of it, never mind the flavor, although I don't honestly know about the flavor. But I will tell you, I opened my coffee before I started using this stuff. I opened up my coffee pot one day, like the coffee, the top where the grounds go, and I had the whole thing was just swarming with ants. I'm like, okay, that just ruined my whole idea of coffee. Okay, just did not make me happy. No, the stuff I use isn't Toro gel. Okay. Gee, Joe. Joe goes, I've never seen them unless the coffee maker's been used. You do realize what you've got is a colony of caffeine addicts. Okay. Apparently they like your coffee, in case you couldn't tell. But no, I don't know about Toro Gel. I don't know what the stuff is called that I use, but I will bring it with you, or I will bring it tomorrow. You know, the nice part about it from my end is I've come to the conclusion, thanks so much to your guys pushing and your guys' encouragement, that I am just simply going to push forward and make things happen. Will I end up changing my wardrobe? Certainly. Not in front of you because that's just going to scare you. Okay. Sorry, we're going to have to do the sign off, change clothes, and then come back. But life is going to change. We have a phenomenal future ahead of us if we work together. Okay. And this is what this is all about. This is why I came back, why I am returned at this point. Okay. I've tried it a couple of times before, always with the same result because of because of a couple of big factors. Okay. One is, as near as I understand, turning a blind eye and hiding and hoping people will wake up and smell the coffee without guidance isn't going to work. Okay, I've tried it multiple times. It doesn't work. Okay, but I've now got, well, it's funny. I've got 8 books written. I'm working on a 9th, like I told my printer. The 9th book that I'm looking at, which is Believe in Your Body and Believe in Your Job and Follow Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. I've already got it half written. Okay, we've started working on, and that will go into overdrive this week, in getting the final steps done in Races of the Worlds. Okay, the reason I quit telling you when it was coming out is I kept running into hiccups. Shade, you have yourself a pleasant night, and we will catch up with you the next time. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I came to the conclusion I'm going to keep building my venue. Okay, but it turns out there is a massive need for people. Crystal J, how you doing? Glad you could join us. There is a massive need. A lot of you have a massive requirement, really. A lot of you have a story, a poem, a short story, a novel. I don't know. Maybe you've got a reference manual that you would like to see in print, but you don't know how to go about it. Okay. What I am doing with the publishing company I'm in the middle of building and doing the legwork for, okay, that company is designed to literally do exactly what I've been talking about. I will tell you this. Okay. Where it comes to poems, many of you have a poem. Now, I covered this the other day. Okay. Years ago, I thought I was doing a real brilliant thing. And I paid to have my poem put into an anthology. Okay. Stupid part was when I figured out the actual benefit of it, or the side effect, they charged thousands of people, well, hundreds of people, to get their poems printed and made an absolute killing. Now, I will tell you this. It does cost money to print books. Okay. But I am going to end up putting a wide open anthology together. Okay. Haven't figured out the parameters as to what I'm looking at in the way of pricing. But I do have an idea on how to calculate it. So I'm going to be doing that. And the only thing that's going to be required, okay, is number one, when I did it 20 years ago, I paid $75 for one poem to be printed. This ain't going to happen. Okay. Will it cost? Absolutely. But I'm going to figure out what it's actually going to cost. And then I'll break it down and figure out what it's going to cost the individual. Okay, but it'll be what it'll cost the individual per poem. Once I do that, then we're in business. Okay, this is just one of those things that I'm looking at. And this is why I say this is what I desire my future to look like. The other bonus to this is literally, I've calculated it out, that 80% of the net profit will go back to the staff and to the customers. Okay, I've got this already documented, already laid out. So I'm just building on what I already know. Okay, that said, I am looking at this in a very simple fashion. I'm no longer content living paycheck to paycheck or hoping I get something handed to me. I'm just not doing it anymore. And I'm no longer interested in waiting. Okay, that's just the way of my life at this point. Now, we are hitting the 2-hour mark here. So again, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. If you haven't already, and you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Okay. With that in mind, I will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow is open topic. I will be bringing back with me some of the new figures I've been working on. Okay. Just simply to do while we're talking. And absolutely bring your questions. Okay. Now, that said, I will catch up with you again. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.